Hello everyone. Slowly but steadily, people are forgetting the stock market because the markets have not performed for last 1.5 years. However, the discussions these days is centered around precious metals, gold, silver. We have been getting a lot of messages from you all asking us to do a video on the prospects of gold, what's happening, our views on this. So we thought we will do a video on gold. This time, what we did was we listened to you, we collected all your queries, collated them, and in a free-flowing conversation with me and Tejas Bhatt, the co-founder of YouTube channel, we have answered almost all the questions that could be there in your mind. You have asked this thing. Let's listen to this interview in this episode. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, your questions on gold have been collated by our co-founder Tejas Bhatt. Tejas Bhatt, for your introduction, is the man behind the cameras. You have seen me for the last 5 years in front of the camera. The driving force, the person who started the YouTube channel is Mr. Tejas Bhatt. In NRI Money Clinic, he looks after the fixed income division. He is a darling of the retirees who has solved many of the problems, designed solutions for the retirees. He has taken pains to collate all the queries that you have put in, and he has tried to get answer from me in this video. Let's listen to this conversation with Tejas Bhatt.
So there are a lot of questions our subscribers as well as our customers have asked in the recent times. So I'm going to ask you these questions one by one that I have collected today. So one of the first questions I would like to ask is, why has gold risen so sharply in the recent times, and what is the reason behind this?
Tejas, any asset class or any service or anything, if it moves up in price, it's a reaction to the demand which picks up in the society or in the marketplace. See, somebody is buying gold. That is why the prices are rising. What we need to see here is who is buying the gold, why they are buying the gold, what is the significance of buying this gold at this point of time. That's where the real answer about why gold is moving up can be actually seen. When I check through all the things, what significantly stands out are the three prominent reasons. The first reason is the pandemic. We have all forgotten about the pandemic. But what happened in the pandemic? There was no employment. People were, confined within the four walls. Government across the globe, barring India, resorted to printing of money. So they just started putting money in the hands of people, thinking that this will buy goods and services for them or whatever that they need. So your printed money, on the other side, there is no increase in the goods and services. So when the supply of money increases and there is a scarcity on the other side, what happens? The assets will go through a bubble. Now what actually happened? If you recollect, we saw a stock market bubble from 21 onwards. It is this money which was printed during the pandemic which found its way into the stock market and resulting in a stock market bubble. Side by side, gold is a hedge against inflation. When the inflation picks up, why inflation picks up? Excessive supply of money. Gold also rises. This is one of the earliest reasons why gold prices moved up. The second reason is about the wars. We saw these wars coming. The first one is the Ukraine-Russia war. What happened during the Ukraine-Russia war? Like the normal practice, the central governments of the world keep their forex reserves in the US, either in the form of gold or in the form of dollar bonds and other things. Now suddenly, because there was a fight which was going on between Ukraine and Russia, the Americans, in a high-handed manner, completely froze the money which was kept by Russia in US. This is an unacceptable move. If I have to give you an example, let's say that you have given some jewelry or gold or something precious which is there in your house with me, and I am the elder brother. Now, because you picked up a fight with your neighbor or somebody else, then I will say, hey, you are fighting there, that's why I will not give your jewelry. How right it is? It is not correct, right? But Americans did this. As a result, suddenly Russia felt, I have kept all my requirement, my emergency fund, my forex there, and just because of some dispute between my neighbor, you are freezing this. How can I depend on you? Now what happened was, it's just not the Russia which was worried. It's the different countries which have parked their forex in the US are worried now. They thought if it has happened to Russia today, it can happen to me tomorrow, right? So countries like China, countries like India, Turkey, Mexico, every central bank in the world is a worried lot today. Therefore, they started picking up gold from the markets. So Tejas, the central banks bought gold about 1,000 tons. Now, 1,000 tons, people may think, oh, just 1,000 tons. See, we all buy gold in grams, right? 1,000 tons is 100 truckloads. One truckload is 10 tons. So that's a humongous amount of gold which has been picked up by the central bank. Why did they keep this gold instead of keeping in the American bonds? Reason is, if I have the gold with me, I have that emergency money, and if something were to happen, at least I can pledge this gold, I can liquidate this gold, I can use this particular money. So it is a lack of confidence on the US system to keep the world's forex in their bank is the primary cause which created this problem. This is the second one. The third reason is, now we all know US has been in a debt crisis right now. There is 37 trillion worth of US debt right now. The amount of interest the US have to pay today is 1 trillion per year. The US has such a massive army and they spend a hell of a lot of money on the defense side. The defense budget of the US is about 800 billion, whereas the interest outgo on the US balance sheet is 1 trillion. This is an unsustainable level of debt. So people are worried dollar may lose its value. What's the point in keeping in dollar? People thought it is the ultimate safety to keep it in dollar. So the central banks are definitely worried. They want to diversify against, just keeping 100% into the US dollar. So they want something else. But they don't have an alternative. The one alternative for them is the gold. Therefore, for last 4 to 5 years, successively, the different governments across the globe are buying the gold. This is the primary reason because of which the gold has gone up. Now, the general public's curiosity came only recent times, because if the prices keep continuously, like every other asset class, every other bubble, they come into the market at the last time. So the people's curiosity today is because of sustained price rise, and they think that the prices may go up.
The second question is, we saw the gold prices increasing quite steadily high in the recent times, but I think in the last few days now it has come down a little bit. Do you see any trend that it will go down from here, or what is the reason that it has come down?
Tejas, any price of any asset class is not a one-way street. If something moves very sharply up, it will also go through a retracement. Right. So now Indian terms, we saw the gold peaking at about 1,30,000 for 10 grams. Today, at the time of recording this video, we see this at 1,18,000. It's not a massive fall as it is, but it is a retracement. It's possible that some institutions could have sold it, somebody would have shorted it, somebody could have just booked the profits. Anything is a possibility. One other reason is when the dollar becomes stronger, the gold prices may fall. The other thing is, if the market participants think that the stock markets are doing very well, which is called a risk on trade, then the gold prices may cool off a little bit. But these are very peripheral issues. The price drop, what has happened, compared to the price rise, what is happened is a very, very small fraction. But it looks, yes, for 3-4 days the prices are falling. Which way it will cut beyond this point is very difficult to tell. As long as the central banks continue to buy the gold rally appears to remain here. That's how I read it, but anything can change over a period of time.
Correct. So you're saying that it's a short-term volatility or fluctuations that exist in the market. So nothing can be predicted in the short term, but the long-term trend that we have seen in the last 5 years, as you said, is on the rise, and we don't know how the future will hold the gold prices at. Okay. Right. We Indians, we love gold. Historically, we have used gold as a form of jewelry more than any other Western countries or any other countries that I know of so far. So we, at almost all festivals in India, we buy gold. For marriages, we buy gold. So it's a very, it's there in our culture. So my question is, how has Indian culture influenced this gold prices, or is it because of, we buying gold has this happened, or what is this thing?
Tejas, this is a very interesting topic, and it's something which is very close to my heart. It's just not the Indians, even the Chinese for that matter. Both Indians and Chinese are the ones who buy gold in quite large quantities because culturally, every family here is attached to gold. How did the system come in place? It all started from good old days, centuries, thousands of years before, where our Indian system recognized gold as the ultimate storehouse of value, right? What Indians were doing thousands of years before, today the central banks of the world are doing. It's an endorsement. What we were doing from such a point of time is being accepted because, you know what? You travel a lot. Now let's imagine a situation. You go abroad, you have lost your passport, you have lost your cash, but if you have a couple of coins of gold, can you not make a living there? Or can you not spend time? Gold is the ultimate currency, right? So you don't have anything, but if you have gold, you can make a living. You can come out of the crisis in which you are. See, how are our Indian marriages? They used to give a lot of gold for the girl when she gets married off. What was the significance of it? It's just not the beautification of the bride. It is called the Stri Apadhana, which means it's an emergency fund which is given by the parent to her. She gets married off, goes to another house. She cuts off from her parents. It's a new life for her. That new journey, the parents do not know how that is going to be. Will the marriage be successful? Will her husband have a successful life beyond that point? What troubles they may go through? Will she become a widow or, anything is a possibility. So the parents used to give this gold. The primary reason behind it is called as Stri Apadhana. Over a period of time, what happened was it was misused in the form of dowry and other things. But the real significance is I will give you some money which will be very helpful for you in case if you have troublesome period during your life when you go out of your parents. That's the significance of the family values of gold. Likewise, people used to buy land and people also used to buy the gold coins. They will always tell that gold will always have utility. You don't need anyone's permission to liquidate. You can liquidate at any place and it's acceptable everywhere. Indian temples, the amount of gold the Indian temples used to hold is a wealth that has been accumulated by the communities. Why India was invaded? It was invaded because of this wealth of gold which was there in India. So people have understood the importance of gold in one's economy or wealth creation. As an information for you, we all hear about these bitcoins and other things. People say that the bitcoins derive value because they cannot be created. An interesting thing about gold is gold cannot be created on earth. You have gold mines. So they dig the mines, extract gold. But gold cannot be manufactured or gold cannot be created by a process on earth. So because there is demand, so I will create gold. That's not possible. How did the earth get the gold? Earth got its gold during its formation. So when it went through that Big Bang theory, when it split from that main mass and the earth got formed, the conditions at that point of time, the heat, the pressure and everything was conducive to for the formation of gold. But on earth, we just cannot create those conditions to create gold. Therefore, the amount of gold on earth is finite. It cannot be created more. People say Bitcoin cannot be created, but there can be an alternative to Bitcoin. But there is no alternative to gold. We would not have completely taken out gold from the earth's crust. There may be a lot of gold in the seas. The total amount of gold extracted and non-extracted, even if put together, remains the same. Therefore, gold is a counterweight. So tomorrow you bring this fiat currencies, you print money as much as you want, the amount of gold that you have remains the same. So when you print more currency, the price of gold shoots up just to maintain that balance.
Yeah, interesting. In the recent time, it's not just the gold that has risen. All these years, we were not talking about silvers, but now more and more people are also talking about silver because silver is also rising in the recent times. Is there any correlation between the gold and silver prices? Is there any correlation between them?
Tejas, silver is another long story. I think probably we have to have one more conversation to explain the various aspects of silver. But for this episode, let me tell you, gold and silver put together are known as precious metals. Now, when gold rises, automatically silver should rise. It may not rise in tandem, but generally you can see gold and silver prices move in tandem. There is a correlation actually. Silver and gold correlation is anywhere from 70 to 90%. That means if one rises, the other rises. Therefore, normally, whenever you see, both will rise in tandem.
How are the gold prices related to the strength of the US dollars? Is there any relationship between them?
Absolutely, there it is. It's the gold and every commodity is measured in dollars. Therefore, when the dollars become stronger, the commodity prices will come down, and the vice versa. If the dollar becomes weaker, then the commodity prices will become stronger. So there is a clear correlation between these two. So from here onwards, let's say a dollar becomes stronger. Why it can become stronger? If the interest rates rise, it can become stronger. Then the gold prices can come down, right? On the contrary, if the dollar becomes weaker, then the commodity prices will rise. Gold as a commodity, it's a precious metal, it's a commodity. If it comes down, its prices will rise. So it's an inverse relationship between strength of the dollar and the gold.
I have observed in the past that whenever the Indian markets fall, the gold prices increase. Is there a relationship between the gold prices and the stock market? Do they move together or do they move in opposite direction? How are they related to each other?
Tejas, you have to understand a little bit here. It's not that the Indian markets correct and the gold prices rise. That's not the way it is. When the Indian markets come down, what actually happens is the dollar moves out of the country. Most of the times, FIIs move out. As a result, the rupee becomes weaker against the dollar. So the prices of gold rise in India as a reaction to dollar going out of the country.
Okay.
Right? It has nothing to do with the dollar strength, the dollar index, what we talk about. But we Indians in India perceive it because the rupee depreciates against the dollar. That's why we pay more for the gold. So it doesn't have a correlation. We as a planners, when we drop the portfolios, we also use this for a particular purpose. So when we come to the question of how people can utilize this, probably I'll add 1 or 2 points around that.
Yeah, I also believe that it's not just the Indian market. So when stock markets across the world are not doing very well, so whenever there is fear in the market, I feel that people tend to buy more gold. So we have seen that in the COVID times. We didn't know how the future is going to lie. When will the vaccines be created? So the stock markets across the globe, came down, and gold stood quite strong at that time, and it held its ground, and people started buying more and more gold. So is this related to the fear that people have that we don't know how the uncertainty of the stock market that they start buying gold?
Yes. See, gold prices reflects one, inflationary pressure, absolutely certain. The second, the most important, as you pointed out, when the gold price rise, it means there is a fear factor in the market participant. They are worried about something. Maybe market falling, maybe economy not doing well, maybe the wars, maybe the uncertainty. It could be anything. So gold is an insurance. So gold doesn't lose its value. Markets can move up, markets can come down as per the perception of the people. So we call it as a risk on risk off trade. So when people are away from the risk, they want certainty, they want stability. That's where they tend towards the gold. So when the markets deeply correct, yes, your observation is right. People move money from the market and they move to the US treasuries, or they may buy gold. So your observation is absolutely correct. It's a risk of away and moving to the safer havens. So gold and silver are called the safe havens.
What are your most memorable life incidents or memories from your life associated with gold?
So you are asking me a personal question, Tejas.
I'm your son, so I think I have that right to ask you, and I've seen your life from since I was born. So I think I have that luxury to ask you that.
Okay, then I have to tell you things which you don't even know also.
Oh, okay. Something new I'm going to learn today.
Right. So it was 1986. And I had the luck to visit a gold mine in Kolar. So I have gone down the gold mine deep inside. We have visited the caves there, and I've actually seen how the gold mining happens and other things. I was very, very lucky that I think we are within 3 to 4 days after my visit to the Kolar goldfields deep inside that earth, the government took a decision, no more visits inside that. So I'm very lucky to see a gold mine operating at that point of time. That was somewhere in 1986. We are in 2025, so that's close to about 40 years before. This is something which is very memorable. The other incidence is the year 2000, where my house got ransacked and all the gold that I had was lost. And it has a correlation to some life event of yours. You went to the Brahmopadesham, and 1 month exactly after that, so we moved out of the house, and the entire house was ransacked, and we lost everything. All the memories of the gold that we did for you, what I got during my marriage, and everything. I had to rebuild my life from that point of onwards. That was the second. That was in 2000. The third incident was in the year 2012, where I visited Perth and I visited a gold mint where I could see from the nuggets how the gold gets extracted. And they gave me an opportunity to steal 1 kg of gold, and I could not steal that much and run. So anybody who is in Perth or want to visit Australia, one should visit this gold mint. It's a memorable experience where they have kept a 1 kg of gold bar, and they say that if you can lift it with your hand, you can walk away with this gold, and it's physically impossible to lift it and take it out. So designed it in such a way, but that's more of a tourist attraction. I think what I can quote, these are the 3 incidences, and the fourth could be that I love gold like every other Indian.
Yeah, I know. I know that you love gold, and I know how much my mom also loves gold. My wife also likes gold. So, gold is something that is not limited to just us or our family, but, it's Indians in general. We tend to love gold, and we do buy them a lot.
We should never repent for having bought gold. And to quote you today, ladies across globe, whether it's Indians or anybody, have taken an upper hand over men, and they say that you bought mutual funds, you bought shares, you bought fancy cars. Look at the value of that and look at where gold is. I have been telling you right from the marriage days, you buy, you did not listen, and look, I am the right economist. All your education has gone to dogs.
Definitely. If people want to buy gold today, what are the different forms of gold that are available for people to buy, whether it's for a resident Indian or whether it's for an NRI? What options do they have? Is it just go to a jewelry shop and buy gold, or is there any other options also available right now?
Tejas, first, if somebody wants to buy gold, they need to have a differentiation why I'm buying the gold. Okay? If you're buying gold to buy peace at home, what I mean to say is there is a demand for jewelry from the ladies in the house. So it's a consumption gold. So you have to buy what they want, right? So there is no question of any lectures to them. Okay, they want a necklace, you buy a necklace. They want a bangle, you buy a bangle, whatever it is, right? But if you're buying gold for investment, then there are multiple options which are available with you. One, you can buy physical gold in the form of biscuits, whatever it is. Across globe you can take it. NRIs, if they buy gold from outside of India, you cannot bring it to India. There is a barrier of, customs barrier. You can't bring it here. So you can buy physical gold. When you buy a physical gold, the problem is that you have the storage issues, you have the theft issues, you may forget where you have kept it. These are such small coins, you may lose this. All these possibilities exist. So that you have to keep it in mind. And you can't move it from one country to another country because of the custom related issues. However, you can buy also electronic form. See, for example, in India, you have got the gold bees. You have a demat account, and you can buy gold bees and keep it in your demat account. And that's perfectly possible. For those of you who do not have a demat account, can I buy gold? Yes, you can still buy gold. You have the mutual funds meant for gold. So almost every, I think, mutual fund house should be running a gold fund. You can pick up any gold fund which is available, and you can invest as much as you want. See, when you buy physical gold, you need large chunks of money to buy that, because you can't buy it, bits and pieces. However, if you buy a gold piece or you buy the gold fund, you can buy to the extent of money that you have or whatever that you can afford for. That can also be thought. One best way I would suggest for people is whether you buy physical gold or gold Bs or gold funds, you buy only exclusively gold. So you may do a mistake with timing, you may do a mistake with your exposure control, you may overbuy, underbuy, anything like that. However, instead of that, these days you've got these multi-asset funds coming from almost all the mutual fund houses. So as a part of that multi-asset thing, they keep certain amount of gold. So they increase exposure to gold, reduce exposure to the gold, they adjust the exposure to gold in respect to other asset classes depending on what is happening in the marketplace. A professional fund manager will be looking after this. So people who want an exposure to gold, my favorite mode is get into a multi-asset fund. You know that ours is a main line as the mutual fund, and we have incorporated multi-asset funds way before even the gold has become a household talking point.
And in the recent past, we have seen they have been incredibly successful and very, very popular these days.
Yes.
So, there was a trend earlier that, people should invest in ETFs and other assets. Now, the trend is, people should invest in multi-asset funds. And I think that's mainly because of the gold uptick that has happened in the recent past, why these multi-asset funds have become very, very popular. But it's not just that, they have that exposure control. So they can increase their exposure when the gold prices are doing well, and they can decrease their exposure. So fund managers have this freedom to increase or decrease the exposure as they want.
Yeah, the investors don't have to bring their emotions into it. So in a professional way, they adjust the composition of multi-asset fund to have the right amount of gold in the portfolio.
Are there any lessons from the history that we can learn on the trends of these gold prices recently?
Tejas, see, gold is said to be a cyclical commodity and goes through a 30-year cycle, right? So these are all the theories. The gold had gone through a massive upsurge somewhere in the 70s and 80s. After that, the gold didn't do anything, right? The next gold surge happened in the year 2008 onwards to about 2012, about 3 to 4 years. Gold literally took off like what you are seeing today, and it was talk of the town everywhere. Why gold moved? We can say it's a 30-year cycle at that point of time. But the real thing what happened was, it was preceded by the Lehman crisis, the mother of market crash 2007 and 2008, right? As a sequel to it, the gold rose. How high it climbed up was to an extent of $2,000 per ounce was the rise in gold. Then the problem happened. What rose to $2,000 in 2012, in next 7-8 years, gold fell from there from $2,000 all the way down to about $1,100 to $1,200. This is the message for the investing public. Look, you come to the market, you want to buy gold or any other asset classes thinking that the prices are going. You come to the market at the peak points. But what happens after the peak point? It's like getting onto the Mount Everest. When you reach the summit, the other side is a slopey down curve. So people lost a lot of money. So now the upsurge is also a sequel to a fear of the points which I already described. Tomorrow, if these fears subside, then gold prices can fall. Tomorrow, just let's say that the central bank stops buying the gold. Every year they have been buying 1,000 tons of gold, right? Let's say from 2026, the central banks don't buy gold, or their buying comes down. So demand comes down. And so any price equation is a direct reaction to the demand which comes in. If the demand comes down, then the gold prices have to come. Or let's say that some central government decides to unload gold. I'll not keep gold. I'm in a crisis point, so I will unload gold into the market. I'll raise resources. Again, the supply might increase, and this may bring down the prices. So you have to keep in mind that anything can happen in the future. If past incidences were to be believed, you have to be very careful when the price rise is very high, and that's where we are right now.
So as you said, it took almost 8 to 9 years for the gold prices to reach the previous highs that were made in 2011 and 12. So
It's not the 8 to 10 years. We should not see it as a part of the cyclicity, because the gold prices now rose because of the problems the world went through. Pandemic was not a part of the cyclicity. Printing of money was not a part of the cyclicity. This war and freezing of forex was not a part of the cyclicity. The debt bubble in the US is not a part of the cyclicity. So this peak happened, and when all these factors came together, as a reaction the gold went up. Don't see that, okay, if somebody invests in gold today and in next 10 years gold may price move up. No, we can't make that kind of.
No, definitely. The future
we
is
can't make that judgment
uncertain.
at all. Yes.
It is just like any other asset class. Just like stock markets, we don't know when, how the future is going to unfold. So one has to be cautious when overexposing himself into any kind of an asset class. That's what your message is to the audience.
Absolutely. Today we have a gold an issue. Sometimes stock market is an issue. Sometimes land is an issue. Sometimes your FDs are an issue. Bitcoin is an issue, or your digital assets are an issue. Anything could be said. If an asset is moving up, don't buy it because it is moving up. You maintain asset allocation. Have all kinds of assets. All assets will not move in tandem. Some days some asset will move. So when you have everything and when you control the exposure, you are a winner in your investing activity. As simple as that.
What is your message to people who want to buy gold at this point of time?
Tejas, as I said, if you're buying gold out of your need, there could be a marriage in the family. You want to gift it to your daughter or your spouse or somebody. By all means, you can do that because you're doing it with a consumption purpose. So the price doesn't matter. It's the need of the hour. If you don't have the reserves of gold, or you don't want to recycle some portion which is there in your house, then you go and buy it. But if you are doing it for an investment purpose, you have to think many times. You have to put exposure control. You have to buy in bits and pieces over longer periods of time to see what happens in the price action. The best way, as we discussed, is either buy small quantities of gold Bs or buy gold through a gold mutual fund in an SIP form, or as I ideally said, just buy into multi-asset fund, as simple as that. Dear viewers, hope this conversation that I had on various questions raised by you with respect to gold answered all your queries regarding why prices have gone up, historical perspective, what is driving the prices, what is that you should be doing, what is that you should be avoiding. If it put all the doubts that are in your mind to rest, do give me a thumbs up. Our channel grows only because of your subscription. Do hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Do share these videos with your near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and on all the social media on which you are connected with. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another topic in next video. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.